All right, we're back. It's just soccer, and today we got Sam and myself hanging out, and this is a preview episode. And we have to, whenever we do a preview episode on this pod, this is really only like the second one. We did a World Cup preview, and now we're doing a Premier League preview today. We call in our preview specialist. That is the one, the only, probably the only Forest fan you know, Barstool Chief. What's up, dude?
For now, it's the first Forest all over the world. Big fan base for a club that was champions of Europe twice. So if you're lucky enough to know one, you're pretty lucky.
It's hard to top that. You'll never sing that. I know. You got a new manager. You know the owner's still crazy, but hey, there's room on the bandwagon for any wannabe Forest fans out
there.
It's
never boring. It's never boring being a Forest fan, and crazy like a fox. So he's the best.
Sam, we have this trio. We've got. I'm an Everton fan. If you're just new here. Obviously, Chief is a Forest fan, and you're a Spurs fan. This is probably the weirdest combination of maybe fandom on any American soccer podcast. You know, usually it's like Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, but we're just going outside the box here. I got some takes on all of our teams here today.
Oh, I mean, if you take the average of like our finishes for the last say 2 seasons, obviously we're about as low.
Relegation fights.
we're about as low as it gets for an American podcast. But yeah. Maybe this year
two of the three have been in Europe.
Listen, champions of Europe over here, no big deal.
Well, listen, Everton have been in Europe. Come on now, listen, we just it's been a minute. Yeah, I think it was the Ronald Koeman era, but yeah. Which listen, I would like to quickly forget. I brought it up, and now I never want to remember it again. But hey, listen, Everton. There was a time when Everton were a big club. This is what's dumb is like this Big Six thing. Like Everton were like one of the biggest clubs in England just before I started liking them, which is great, which is classic me.
I mean, a lot of people are arguing Big Six is already dead and Tottenham's out of it. So you know, we'll see.
They're out now. They're back in because man, people are high on Tottenham. We'll get to that because there's a lot of Tottenham buzz. There's a lot of Forest buzz. There is even some Everton buzz. I don't know that I share that sentiment, but. We got a bunch of questions coming up. We're going to do like teams we're most excited to watch. Obviously, we'll predict our Champions League places, who's the champion, who goes down, just players we're excited to watch, a bunch of different questions. But I think we got to do this first because like Chief is on, and I don't know if someone tweeted at you. I think that's what happened.
Yeah,
is there was some Elliot Anderson slander on the pod last week, and he was just inquiring as to like how that happened. And I was quickly to be like, listen, it wasn't me.
Wasn't me.
Names,
wasn't
but
me.
It was but it was Sam. In parentheses in the text thread. Tough community shield for City, sort of a tough community shield for our guy Elliot. I'm still a believer. Sam, would you like to just like articulate your Elliot Anderson stance to Chief so that he can maybe just correct you or at least like guide you in a way that isn't that he's trash?
Sure. So here's what I said. I believe I said anyway. He's a good player. I'm not trying to say that he's trash, but when you come in with a price tag at whatever it was, 135 million euros, there's going to be a lot of expectations. And I think he's walking into a situation where he's set up to fail. Assuming that Rodri leaves, which it seems like he's going to be out the door to Barcelona, then, there is going to be a lot of pressure on Elliot Anderson coming into that spot. And he's expected to essentially be a 1-for-1, like-for-like switch. And, there's so many other question marks going on at City at the moment with, Pep gone, Maresca in. It just seems like a tough situation where the price tag and the pressure of it's going to be tough for him to live up to it. So I'm not saying he's a trash player. I'm just saying that I would not have paid nearly as much money if I was a billionaire owner. So that was my take.
Okay, well, I don't know if you've been paying attention, but money like that is flying around all over the place. Morgan Rogers beat that record like 4 days later.
Agreed.
So
yeah.
I just think that I've had sticker shock about basically every transfer that's gone down this whole summer. And I think it is just one of those things where it's like the market is the market. And I know the numbers feel inflated. I just think it's unfair to be like, well, this is what we paid for him. In like 3 years, it might be considered like a bargain. Like you just don't know. It just feels like the market's out of control. So the price is the price. That's what if you want the best midfielder in the Premier League last year,
Whoa.
That's what you're going to have to pay for.
See, now you lost me.
I mean, go look. You can go look at the analytics. Duels won, progressive passes, dribbles completed, goal actions. Like the guy is an all around midfielder who does a load of everything. He's great defensively. He had so much chemistry with Morgan Gibbs-White linking up through the middle. Like, they were a joy to watch. There's like that one clip from the first leg of the semifinals where he passes to Gibbs-White like dummies it to somebody else, and he picks it up. He's a great player to watch. Feels like City's going to be asking him to pick up the ball off the defense and play a little bit deeper, more in that Rodri role. Mm-hmm. He has done that for Forest. He's always been more of an 8 than a 6, but they're going to have the ball so much. He was definitely the deep lying midfielder playmaker for England in the World Cup. So he has some experience, but like, it's going to take a little bit of time. I mean, I don't think you can judge a guy on a preseason or a community shield or whatever. He's 22, 23 years old. Fantastic player, great lad. Everybody loves him. I wish he was still a Forest player. Imagine him with Oliver Glasner. Like, he would be so perfect in that kind of dual pivot role that Glasner uses. So it's unfortunate that he's gone. You know, it's one of those things where I think when you take that step up and you do go to a City or one of these big clubs, we've seen a lot of guys just, you know, like the fans just get on him. And it's like, oh, you're not Rod. Yeah, he might not win a Ballon d'Or. He's not. It's like the old Jim Calhoun. He's not bad. He's not bad. So I think it's
not a down back.
So I think he's going to do fine there. I think City's going to be in a title race. Worst case scenario, they're back in Champions League again. He's going to be a big part of that. And you know, Maresca isn't Pep. So if Elliott doesn't work out there, point the finger over there, not at my boy.
Can't fire the players. That's fair. That is true. Yeah, I fall somewhere in between. I am definitely an Elliot Anderson fan. I also like the importance of the Community Shield is basically just like, did you win it? Yes, it's important. Did you not win it? Then no, it doesn't mean anything. So I mean, you look at some of the substitutions. I mean, City's starting lineup was weird too. I mean, like I don't know what they're going to look like. I assume they're not going to look like that for most of the season. And I am a believer in City, but that was, you know, I think there were some people raising the alarm bell. So it's one game. I'm not worried about it. To your point, like, if he is a Rodri replacement, then yeah, like, he's set up to fail. But I don't, you know, I'd like to think Maresca like is a little smarter than that and knows that they're different players, and he'll put him in a different position, hopefully, to have some success. But like my point, Chief, was like Declan Rice a couple years ago went for like 100 and whatever, 10, 15. This is just inflation, man. He's the same. Now I liked Declan Rice a little bit better, I think, back then than I liked Elliot Anderson, but I still really like Elliot. This is just the market, man. This is what the prices are paid. He's a good player. He'll be fun.
Yeah, I agree. And it's going to be one of those things where I don't really pay attention to City fans. Like, they've, at least in America, like, that's the plastic fan base. But I am starting to take notice of the people who are hating on Elliot Anderson, and City fans are going to go maybe to the top of the list of fan bases I hate if they don't treat my boy right.
It's going to be tough to top a certain club in London, but hey, we've digressed, and it's not Spurs. All right, enough Community Shield talk. Let's get to the preview here, because this is what we want to do, and this is going to be fun. We got a bunch of different categories. We're going to rip through it. We're going to have some discussion, and then obviously we'll give our predictions at the end. First, I was talking to you about this sheet before we started taping. I'm throwing together like my predictions. Every year I put together a 1 through 20. I tweet it out and whatever. And, you know, like last year, you know, I had Arsenal winning, but I had a bunch of other stuff really wrong. This feels like the hardest year I've ever had to put a table together. Like, I don't know. I mean, other than spoiler alert, I think Arsenal is going to repeat. I wouldn't really bet on it because I don't think like the number is that great. I think they're still like plus 160, I think, in a lot of books. But just like even 2 through 7, like the middle of the table, even like, I guess the relegation, like, you think Hull's probably going down. We'll get to that later. But putting together like where I think some of these teams, because there's so many new managers, so much turnover. I don't know. This is the hardest year I've ever had to do this, guys.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like, and what I said to you beforehand, I feel like the teams in that 6 to 16 range throw a dart. Like, I don't know. You can make an argument for a lot of teams, and that's the other factor of this too, where there are great promotion stories last year with Sunderland. Mm-hmm. They're in Europe. They haven't done a single thing in the window. How are you going to be competing for Europe, playing twice a week, the cup games and all that with no squad depth? I think that's a problem. And then same thing, like Brentford and Bournemouth both had wonderful years. Bournemouth loses Areola. Now it's like, what are they exactly? And it's like, can their machine just kind of keep churning along to produce these results? But it feels like they could be in trouble because they might not have the squad depth to get through the whole year with all the extra games as well.
I could completely agree with that. I think that there is a theme that we will get to eventually here, that some of these teams they did so well last season and they overperformed to such an extent that now they're going to be playing in Europe and they're going to have all these extra games in midweek. I think that could be a real problem for some of these teams. And as you said, Sunderland is sort of the poster child for this because they brought in, I believe, one player, Thomas Meunier from like Lille, and that's it.
Which is on a free, I'm pretty sure. They haven't spent a dime.
Right. They spent a ton last year, though, if I remember correctly. And I did like them to stay up. I had them staying up last year. I was right about one. I was buying Sunderland. I was selling Leeds, and both of them actually did pretty well as newly promoted teams. Leeds, another team I think is fascinating as well because I think people are really high on them. But yeah, the Sunderland. So I like I like Sunderland's squad, but they are certainly like one of the ones that you're just like, I don't know, they could finish anywhere from back in Europe again, which I think would be unlikely to like. Could they go down? Sure. I think they're actually the fourth favorite to go down. They're the favorite of all. If you exclude all the newly promoted teams, they are the favorite to go down, which is kind of wild considering the season they had last year and holding on to Granit Xhaka. But all right, we'll get to that in a little bit. Why don't we do first question here? Sam, I'm going to start with you. What is the team you are most excited to watch this season?
So there's a couple ways to answer this. There's the homer pick and say most excited. I'm excited because Tottenham feels like they won't be in a relegation battle for once.
You're not ass anymore. Yeah.
Right? So I'm pretty excited about that. I mean, I
have heard this before.
Yeah, that's true.
Probably going into last season. But here's the thing, that team that went into last season, I mean, we had things to be excited about then too. Thomas Frank was the most genius thing since, sliced bread. And we had all these new guys coming in, and then everybody got hurt. Literally our entire team went down with, ankle injuries and knee injuries and God knows what other injuries. And Thomas Frank turned out to be a total plug. The guy, he had no plan B when plan A didn't work. And we were, rudderless for the first, wow. I mean, like 90% of the season until we got Zerbi in. So I'm excited. So most excited, honestly, it's a homer pick, but like I think Tottenham for me is the most excited.
I'll allow it.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
But then there's other ways to look at this. I'm most interested, honestly, in two teams, Bournemouth and Sunderland, because both of those teams had such incredible seasons last year. And I think that they are in for what could be a rude awakening this year, especially with the Europa League and midweek fixtures and all this. Sunderland, as we've discussed, have not done anything. And I know they did a ton of business last summer, but they were not playing in Europe last year, and now they're going to be playing in Europe. So I think that those two teams, they had such great years, and they could be sort of primed for a serious fall, especially so focusing on Sunderland. I'm not a big advanced stats guy. I'm kind of more of like what I see, I kind of, believe. But like, if you look at the advanced stats, Sunderland overperformed on basically every measure by a lot. So if we're just going to sort of say there's going to be a reversion to the means, then you add in playing in Europe, and then you add in not doing business. Like, I'm a big Sunderland fan as a team, as a neutral, I guess you should say. Shout out to our guy Declan's Dave. I'm worried. I'm honestly worried for Sunderland this season. So we shall see, though. We were worried about them last season, and they greatly overperformed. So I wouldn't put it past them, and I'd say the same thing about Bournemouth. They've got so much turnover, and not done a ton of business. So those two teams are the ones I'm sort of most interested to watch and see what happens this year, because I do think they could be all over the map in terms of how they finish this season.
I feel like Brentford was the team I doubted last year, and I at my own peril because that was a stupid decision. They obviously were great.
Well, they lost Thomas Frank, who was a genius.
Right? Yeah, I thought that was a great. I thought that was a great hire. I was like, this is the guy to get in to settle Spurs down. Like he's just a pragmatic coach. What? Blah blah blah. Didn't work out. I'm not going to make the same mistake with Bournemouth. I feel like Bournemouth are going to be fun. I just think they're too well run of a club. Marco Rose is a decent manager. I think they'll be okay. They still have a pretty good team. Sunderland, on the other hand, I will agree with you. Chief, your team you're most excited to watch or most interested, however you want to take it.
Yeah, not a homer pick, but echoing what Sam said, I think it's Spurs. They spent all the money. They have a full year of De Zerbi. I think they're going to be very interesting, or it could be same old Spurs. Like, you just don't know. You're right. Like, the injury bug has hit them over the last couple of years more than anybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot is made of the 49ers with they're practicing next to a substation. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's all the electronics for Beyonce and U2 and everything else going on at that stadium. Those guys can't stay healthy. So you hear like, oh, if they go down, it's going to be this, disaster. They won't be able to afford anything. They barely stay up. No Champions League. So people are like still speculating that they might have some issues financially. Wrong. They spend more money than anybody. Completely reworked their midfield. And I do like De Zerbi as like a character and as a coach. I think that they're going to be kind of must-see TV. And the worst thing for me would be them finishing somewhere in the middle. I want them back in the relegation.
What's going to happen?
Yeah, I know. So I want them back in the relegation scrap or pushing to be in Champions League. And I don't think we're going to get either one. But there are, especially the beginning part of the year, they're going to be one of those teams that I am like hyper-focused on.
You guys love making fun of the Beyonce concerts, but that's why we were able to spend our tickets.
I know. It's just annoying.
It's a long-term plan. Exactly. Yeah, there you go.
Shout out Daniel Levy.
Beyonce, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Nobody else gets that kind of experience at their stadium. So shout out to Spurs. I think that's a great shout. I agree. I will push back though. I'm not a De Zerbi guy, which you would think I am. I'm Italian, like whatever. I kind of think he's like a fraud, and I'm a little interested to see how the season goes because at Sassuolo he was like this up and coming guy, and they had a great like thing going. He goes to Shakhtar, and it was kind of like. Then Ukraine war broke out. All this stuff happened. Blah, blah, blah. We don't have to get into that.
Yeah.
He ends up at Brighton. I thought he was like pretty underwhelming at Brighton, and they couldn't kind of wait to get rid of him there as well. Marseille, he does finish second, but like, the French league is so strange. I just think people talk about him with such high esteem. He hasn't won anything. Like what is he? And like, all right, he kept Spurs up, which by the way, I thought they were 100% dead in the water going down, and he did keep them up, so he deserves some credit. It's not a trophy, but he does deserve credit for that. Well, but he's kind
Aston
of
Villa did them a favor. Like
that is true.
That really saved their whole season when they rolled out
nothing
B- lineup and a dog shit performance in a big game because Forrest was playing that. They had the second leg of that semifinal. I'll be mad about that forever.
People don't forget. Once again, I'm just saying I think the De Zerbi thing proceed with caution. I don't think they're like in jeopardy of going down or anything like that, but I could see it being a little volatile. As I've said all summer, I think that I like most of the guys they've signed. They've just overpaid for pretty much all of them, which is okay. All right, you gotta raise this. You gotta raise the floor. They've probably raised the floor. I'll go quickly because I'm gonna be a little bit different. Mine is Liverpool. I think Iraola is an excellent coach. He's I mean, again, as an Everton fan, like this, it does pay me to say he's fantastic. I think long term he'll be great. But I don't like this roster. I don't like the squad. I think they're really flawed. I think defensively, I mean, Virgil van Dijk is 35 years old. He's expected again to lead the line again with, they bought Jacquet from Ligue 1, who's supposed to be great. But, time will tell. It still takes time to transition to Premier League. They ended up getting Araujo from Barcelona on loan, which felt like a total panic move because they just needed a body. I don't like any of their fullbacks. McAllister I love, but he was like he just was some random version of himself last year. He was terrible. They lose Salah. I feel like this is going to be a weird transition year for them, and they're one of the teams that probably the hardest to peg of where I like because I love the manager. As I said, they could certainly finish second, maybe, I don't know, or they could finish out of Champions League spots. I think they're going to be a fascinating team to watch, and I think defensively they're going to be a problem. So a lot of their games are going to be high scoring. So for me, Liverpool, I'm very excited to see what Liverpool look like this year.
Yeah, I'm buying Liverpool. So I think with all the investment last year that just didn't really pan out with Isak and Florian Wirtz, and it's just like a weird year coming off the year before when they won the league. This almost feels like sometimes it takes guys a year to get settled into a new club, and it's you write off last year and be like, all right, bringing in Isak, we're bringing in Verts, we get McAllister with a different manager. And I think, like you said, I think they are going to be a lot of fun. I still trust Virgil van Dijk, so it's like I still think
Sneaky didn't have a great World Cup. Just gonna throw that out there.
Yeah.
Again, he's fantastic. 35 years old. He's been doing this a long, long time. And here's the thing too. I'll throw a stat at you. Of all the teams that finished in the top half last year, Liverpool gave up the second most goals. I think it was like 53 goals. The only team in the top half to give up more goals was Iraola's Bournemouth team, 54. Like they're leaky. Again, the personnel is not great. I think Allison's fantastic, but I just think this is going to be, it's going to be a lot of 3-2s, and that's a tough way to accumulate points. So I'm just really interested to see how it's going to play out. Really, really interested because I think again, the ceiling's high, the floor is maybe a little bit lower than normal.
Couple other things on Liverpool to point out. I thought that they have the benefit of Szoboszlai basically stepping up last season. He turned into a totally different player, a guy that they can actually just count on to be the guy. One of several, I think, that they actually have, because Verts has that kind of potential in him as well. So does Isak. So does Virgil van Dijk, obviously. So I do think that they have some serious players there that they can kind of lean on when things get kind of tough. They're missing. So of all the business they did last season, Isak, you could argue maybe he might be a new player this season. Last season was basically a complete write-off. They're missing, or they will be missing for the whole season, I believe, Ekitike, who was their other big guy.
At least a decent chunk of it.
Yeah. Right. And so, that with the Luis Diaz situation, I think that they are a bit of a wild card. I'm kind of on Chiefs side. I think I'm more high on them than you anyway.
Okay.
I just love I love the manager too. I think that's part of this.
Totally. All right. Well, I don't know that I'm super, super low on them, but we'll when we get to our top five, we'll assess where we're at. Chief, I'm gonna go next category with you first. The player you are most excited to watch. This doesn't have to be a new guy; it could be anybody, but new guys obviously are welcome as well.
Yeah, I think that this is a bounce back year. So I had two written down. I had Alexander Isak. So supposedly he's fit and firing and looking good and crisp in preseason, and I think he's a guy that maybe has a chip on his shoulder, a lot to prove. Like you said, Sam, last year, the holdout, the whole thing, he missed all the training camp. He finally gets in. He gets all these injuries. He's a year removed from being the second best striker in the league. So I think that this is a year for him. And, maybe having no Ekitike almost benefits him. Like, he is the guy for them up top. And then I like Cole Palmer in a bounce back year too. So Cole Palmer, I love Xabi Alonso. I think that him and Morgan Rogers together, they're going to have so much magic in that final third of the field. I think that, they were playing rather kind of sort of boring, uninspired soccer last year. You get Xabi Alonso in there. He's used to dealing with the stars. He supposedly reached out to Cole Palmer right when he got the job. He's like, you're a big reason why I took this job. He doesn't make the England team. Another guy with a chip on his shoulder. I think Cole Palmer and Isak, like two big stars who were kind of written off last year for having poor performances, come back in a big way this year.
Chief, like mine, I wrote down Cole Palmer as well. I think this is he's in a weird spot. Like, he had that really great first season in his first year moving from City to Chelsea. He had a good second year, and then last year, I know he had 10 goals, but 5 of those were penalties. Like, he's a little bit of a pen merchant. Like, I don't want to be that guy and start calling people Pinaldo and Pesci, but like, but I like him. I was like, is this guy the future of like the English national team? And then he doesn't. Yeah, you said he doesn't make the World Cup roster, so like, kind of a massive scene for him. I think he and Morgan Rogers will work really well together. I think they can. Obviously, it seems like Cole maybe plays as that left-footed right winger, and Morgan Rogers maybe on the right as a right-footed guy. I think it'll be totally fine behind João Pedro, who's kind of more of a link-up striker anyway, and those guys can get in and score goals. I like it on paper, but it still has to be done. You still got to prove it to me. And I think he has the most to prove this season of maybe anyone in the league, of just like, are you that dude, or are you just going to be like Phil Foden and disappear and he wins Player of the Year, then nothing else after that?
Yeah.
That's a good shout. I was wondering if one of you guys were going to say Phil Foden, because he just has completely disappeared from like
crazy
relevance. So you're good. Your shouts are very good. I had Cole Palmer written down. I have a homer pick in Sandro Tonali, because I think that he can sort of revamp that entire midfield, and I'm really excited to see what he can do there. I'm going to throw out Johan Manzambi for Aston Villa because I think he's coming into a situation where there's going to be a lot asked of him.
Yeah.
And they're going to be in some tough games. They're playing in Champions League. And it's going to be a tough situation, but man, I watched him a little bit at Freiburg. He looks like a serious player. So I'm interested to see how he fits in at Villa and whether they can just sort of keep that momentum going under Unai Emery.
Yeah, the Villa thing is interesting because he obviously Manzambi's fantastic, and he was one of the World Cup darlings. I even like the Joao Gomes signing from Wolves. Yeah. He was one of them on my top 5 signing. I think he's going to be fantastic, and he's going to play right away because they've lost so much. Yeah. Villa, another team, like I trust Emery, I trust the structure, but it's like where are they going to be because they lost so many guys? They're I could have put them up there as like teams that I'm most excited to watch just because I don't know. But I think they'll probably be fine. That's a good shout from you, Sam. All right, next category. I'll kick this one off. A team that you think is going to finish higher than people expect. I'm going to go Brighton. Now, I'm always kind of a Brighton truther homer, and it's funny, I bet their point over under last year. I think it was 54.5, and they finished on 54, which was great. And I think they lost in the last day and they had a terrible draw in the second to last game to not get over that hump, which is terrible. But I think they mostly bring back the team from last season. They lose Danny Welbeck, obviously, to Chelsea, which I don't know is maybe it's a massive loss, maybe it's not. But they've got plenty of attacking firepower. I think they'll be fine. Hurstler is a fantastic manager, and I think the instability in what we talked about in that sort of like from that like 4 to 10 range is going to help them because I think they're going to know who they are from day one. And probably not lose a ton early on, or at least figuring out who they are as the season starts. So I like Brighton to push for Europe. I like them. I'm not, top 6 is pretty aggressive, but could they finish 7th? That 7-8 range. And I think most people have them maybe mid-table. But I think if things go right for them, they could push for Champions League spots. I think they're that good. I think the manager's that good. And I think they had like a little bit of a dip a couple years ago, and it's like, is the Brighton thing kind of ending? I think we're back. I think Brighton's back. I think they're going to be fine. I think they're going to be really good this year.
Yeah, no, I like Brighton too. For a guy who doesn't like De Zerbi, he's a big believer in the Brighton project.
De Zerbi didn't have that much success there. I think there are plenty of other managers that did. Obviously, Graham Potter comes to mind, and different guys. But like he, I don't think of De Zerbi when I think of Brighton. I think that was like that was only like a year or two. It wasn't even that long.
I think it was 2. Yeah,
maybe 18 months or something. Yeah.
So. No, I like Brighton. I mean, it's almost like Brighton to me has become a little bit like maybe a better version of Palace, where like for years you're like Palace is finishing 12th, and it was just like they're right in that area. I feel like Brighton is like the perfect team to finish 10th. I don't think that they have enough, and I oddly think losing Danny Welbeck is going to hurt them too. Like you think like you lose a guy, what is he, 35, but he was so reliable for them. It felt like he scored important goals and just a guy that they trusted, and so I think they're missing a little bit. But yeah, I think that they're one, like we said, one of those teams with a dart. I can see them. There's a world where they finish 6th. I think there's a world where they finish 14th.
I'm a little nervous about Brighton this year, not in the sense of like I think they're going to be in a relegation battle. But when you look at the business that they did, I said from the get-go that I think getting Vuskovic from Tottenham was a
shrewd, on your boy.
Shrewd
Everyone
move.
loves him.
Yeah, I think that they got a steal on him. But other than that, they haven't done a lot of business. They've got in I think Strout from Leeds and like a right winger. They haven't done a lot of moves. The Danny Welbeck thing is interesting, right? Because if you're losing a guy a striker in his mid-30s, you're kind of like, whatever. But like he scored some amazingly huge goals, like just absolutely gigantic goals for them. And, the fact that he's still doing it, number one, is incredible. Shout out to all the olds out there who are still scoring goals. But like, if that feels like a move that might low key go down as one that they're going to perhaps not be happy with in the future. Now I say all that, so I don't love their business. I really didn't like losing Welbeck. But at the end of the day, like they've proven time and time again that their talent evaluation and their sort of deal management team, they know what they're doing. And so like I'm loath to kind of doubt them because they've been doing this thing where they just kind of find the next diamond in the rough and just stay in that 8 through 12 range, year after year. So I don't want to doubt them too much, but I just don't really love their business. So I do have them kind of in that, mid-table range, which is fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that in the Premier League, but I'm not as excited about them as I have been some years. But yeah, I also think that their business is probably smarter than we give them credit for. So they'll figure
it always is,
right.
They'll have a striker. They'll have somebody that the Greek guy they bought who was 18 last year. He'll all of a sudden, like, Manchester United will be in for him for like 100 mil midway through the season. That's how Brighton works. Like, they'll find a guy.
They got 2 Greeks that are like either 19 or 21 or something like that, and they still
have Ruder, who's fantastic. I think they're more than fine.
But they need one of those 2 guys. One of either the Greek striker who's like 19 now, or Ruder. They need one of them to really step up this season.
Mm-hmm. Sam, your team that's going to finish higher than expected.
Higher than expected. Let's see. So I have a couple here. So I like Leeds. I have them finishing about 12th, I think, is where I have them in the table. And just looking at the odds, I think their odds are more to finish in like the 15th range. So, I have them a little higher. I'm a little higher on Chelsea than a lot of people seem to be. I think
playing once a week, man. It's pretty
that's
awesome.
Exactly what I was going to say. It's the same thing with Tottenham. Obviously we both, Chelsea and Tottenham, got done with some real tough seasons last year. But there is an absolute benefit to not having that midweek game and not, traveling to Europe or going to wherever the hell you got to go in the Balkans. So I think that it is a big advantage that maybe we're kind of just forgetting about a little bit when you look at some of the teams that are going to be around them. And I think honestly, Chelsea might be in that title race with Arsenal, City. Maybe that's it. You could argue maybe United and Liverpool, but I think Chelsea have a good chance to perhaps finish second. I don't have them. I won't give away my top 5 quite yet, but I have them finishing quite high. It's going to be tough to catch Arsenal, but I like Chelsea this season.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great mind situation because I have Leeds. I think if you look at the teams that are around them, like I guess at least in my mind, it is the Sunderlands, it's the Fulhams, it's that level of club. And I think Leeds doesn't have the extra games. They have like a sense of stability where it's the same manager. Goalkeeping was a big issue for them. That was the one position they targeted. They go out and get James Trafford. So now they have like a true number 1. And a
lot of money for Trafford, by the way.
The market.
City sell him.
It's the market.
City sell him at a they make a profit on it. He was kind of a bust, I guess.
Never played.
Yeah,
because they got
one game. Like, actually, we're gonna go ahead and buy Donnarumma. Sorry, dude. Yeah.
So, but yeah, so I just think that I could see them finishing 10th, which I think is higher than what most people say. And I'm with you on Chelsea. I believe in the manager. I believe in the talent. They seem like they have like a stud just about everywhere. So they have.
I hope so.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But they've been like the all-time underachieving club here the last 3 years, other than maybe Spurs. And it does feel like maybe this is the year where like they have the right manager and they've added the right pieces. And it's not like they're adding 15 like they sometimes do. They seem like they're a little bit more strategic with it. And I think that this could be a very strong team that has a chance to challenge.
Did you see the news today? Just when you think like, oh, Chelsea, like things are settling down a little bit. One of their owners, Mark Walter, who's by the way like fire selling the Lakers, although he made still money there because it's the Lakers.
Yep.
But they're apparently selling Chelsea to, or want to put Chelsea on the market. There seems to be some cash problems going on with our guy Mark Walter. Todd Bowley might be out the door.
Yeah.
So just when you think things are okay at Chelsea, it's like, actually no, like we're going to sell the club now.
Yeah.
So I'm with you on Chelsea though. I think they're going to be good. I'm actually, this is a great segue. The team that I had lower than expected, maybe I've been reading the wrong, some different preview stuff from you guys. It feels like everyone's too high on Leeds, and I'm zagging the other way. I think the Harry Wilson, first I'll start with the good. Harry Wilson, good free transfer. That's fine.
Yep.
Maharovic, Maharovic, whatever his name is, good transfer because they were bad defensively last year. You mentioned the goalkeeper situation. Like, there's definitely some positives there, but they were a bad defense last year overall. And Farke is not my favorite manager. His teams usually go up and then go right back down, and they didn't last year. I worry about them. And the other thing, too, is they are really reliant on Dominic Calvert-Lewin scoring goals, especially if your defense is going to be leaky. And as an Everton guy, I like Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I think he's really good. But the problem was he just couldn't stay healthy for so many years. He finally has one healthy season last year. What happens if that doesn't happen again this year? I think that they're in big trouble. I think they'll be fine. I'm not saying they're going to get relegated, but I have them in like 16th. I think they're going to be fine. Maybe flirt a little bit with relegation, but I've seen previews that people have them as high as like 9th, 8th, and I think that's insane.
Yeah, I mean, I hope you're right. I want as many teams behind Forest, and I didn't want to do the homer thing, but I do think that this is like, if things go right, that Forest is back in that Europa League conversation. So it's another team that's going to finish higher. I pulled up the Athletics article, and I was like, this will be good. They'll have them finishing 16th, 17th, and they had them at 9th. So I was like, I don't even know if I can say this as a team that's
that's. See, I think you could make a case for any of our teams being like finishing lower than expected. Like, I think Everton, until David Moyes is gone, they're just going to be like a 13th. Like, I think that's where they're going to be. So anytime people are like, oh, top half, pushing for Europe, I'm like, David Moyes is there. He's not going to play the young guys. It's not going to be exciting. It's going to be boring, and he's going to finish 13th. I think for Spurs, you could certainly make the case that like things don't go awesome with all these new signings right off the bat, and they hit some turmoil and they end up finishing 10th, 9th, whatever, and that's probably disappointing for them. And I think the same thing with your Forest crew. Like I think you could make an argument. Like we all like Glasner, but losing Anderson. And I don't know that they did like a ton of awesome, like they what has their business been this summer? They spent a lot of money in the past for sure, but like that, I almost feel like they'll do well in like the FA Cup, right? He's a good cup guy, cup manager, whereas they'll probably comfortably be safe. But like if they finish 16th, I wouldn't be surprised, and made like the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. Like I could see that happening for Forest.
Yeah, I mean they signed Diamande, so I feel like their back three is going to be very, very
center
strong.
back.
Yep. Yeah. And then I don't think they're done. Like I think they'll go get a striker, especially now with Taiwo on his
right.
He's gone to Coventry, so I think they'll go get a striker. They're linked to Delap. They're linked to a few other guys. They need someone besides Chris Wood, and Igor Jesus, I think, might be suited as like a better, like a second 10 next to Gibbs White. Like he's just not like your traditional 9 that can really press. So I think they'll go out and get another striker. And I wouldn't be surprised if they still add a midfielder too, or a right back, right wing back. And then like the project's not done on paper right now. I think they're firmly mid-table. And if they add the right way for clear upgrades, I think they're going to be pretty good. Also, watch out for James McAtee this year.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Sam, who finishes higher, Everton or Forest? As our non-biased guy.
That is a tough one. I'm going to lean Everton. Sorry, okay. Chief.
Wrong.
I don't even believe it either. So there you go. That's fine. All right. Lower than expected, Sam.
Lower than expected. All right. I got a few clubs here. Newcastle. I don't know where people think they're going to finish at this point because
it's everywhere, dude. I feel like I've seen people be like, "Oh, they'll be okay," and then it's like, "Hey, could they be relegated?" I don't know about that, but
they've had an absolutely brutal summer. I mean, for the second summer in a row, no less. Losing Gordon, losing Guimaraes, losing Tonali just this summer, and then go back.
Isak.
Isak. I mean, it's just been, and then the bigger on top of that, they lost their manager, right? So there's a lot of question marks there. I know they did do some business, right? They brought in, Toure from Hoffenheim was their biggest one. They brought in a goalkeeper, which I know they actually brought 2 goalkeepers, which they absolutely needed. In the Samsung Discord, people were whining about Pope all season. So I know that they're excited about having different goalkeepers, but like at the end of the day, it's just, they've lost so much. And whether these guys sort of are step right in, I don't know. The new manager, Jaisley, I don't even know how to pronounce his name, from El Ali.
From Saudi.
Right? Coming over from Saudi, that's a huge question mark for me. So just huge question marks. I have them finishing lower than what I just sort of see in the odds. So that's one. Another one, Palace. I think this season is going to be a rough one for Crystal Palace. And third, I think I had one more. Bournemouth. I'm a little nervous about Bournemouth as well.
Yeah.
Have you seen the image of I think it was real. Like it was a Champions League game. Speaking of Newcastle United, where Like their midfield was Elliot Anderson, Guimaraes, and Tonali, and then they had Anthony Gordon, Isak, and Almiron as their front three. And Newcastle fans could just be like, "What could have like we almost had this like unbelievable team, and then we lost it all. It's all gone."
But and it's like what a difference a couple of years makes, because when they finish third or fourth and they qualify for Champions League a few years ago, and everyone,
2 out of 3 years I think they qualify for Champions League. Right?
And everyone's like, "Oh, this Saudi money, it's bad for the sport. Like they're just, they can do whatever they want. They have infinite money." And then they stop investing because, and they seems like they've done that with some of their other projects too, the Live Tour, whatever, like that endless pit of money from the Saudis doesn't feel as endless anymore. And they've gotten rid of everybody, like you said, including the manager. It makes a huge difference. It's crazy the talent that they had on that team. And to look at where they are now, I'm with you. I think that they could be in for, like that 14, 15, 16, 17 range.
I glanced at their relegation odds, but it was only like, I think it was like 1,200 plus 1,200, 12 to 1. And I'm just like, I need better than that. But like, they're there. Like Vegas clearly is like, okay, they're not, I mean, they finished 12th last year. I feel like they'll probably be around there this year. But yeah, you never know. Things could go south quick. And then all of a sudden you fire a manager and then you're free falling and can't score goals. Like the only thing is they got, like Wisa seems like he'll be healthy.
Yeah.
They haven't got all their signings. Player. Right. I think they'll be okay, but you're right. They're probably not going to be, I mean, top half would be, I think they snatch your hand off for top
maybe
half, right?
Alanga finds himself again. He could be an every other year guy.
They got Voltamont. I mean, like their attack, they've got weapons. It's just, there's a lot of question marks in that squad.
Yeah. Chief, did you give yours? I forget.
I think I was just echoing. I had a very similar list to you guys because I think Palace is in trouble too. I think Newcastle's in trouble. And then maybe we'll get to him later, but I think Fulham's in big trouble.
Yeah, we definitely will. Well, honestly, I mean, this may be a decent segue for that. I'll start with you, Chief. What manager gets sacked first? And I think it's more fun. I think it's more fun if we do the non-promoted teams.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to be like, oh yeah, like Hull's going to be terrible, which they might be. Everyone's favorite pick to finish 20th because they basically should have been. Their underlying numbers suggested they should have been relegated in the championship last year. Instead, they got promoted, which is wild. So let's avoid those teams. Manager of the top 17 that stayed.
I've
most likely to get sacked.
I got two. I have David Moyes on that list.
Oh, me too.
Okay.
All right, go ahead. I'll let you go first. Let you go first.
I don't know what it is about David Moyes. I have always had a soft spot for him going back to his first stint at Everton. Just seems like a delightful guy. He has like a track record. He has a method. But I just think he also really has a ceiling. And he plays kind of a boring style. And I think that, just listening to Everton fans at the end of last year, they're like, this guy, we're up. Definitely better than having Sean Dyche, but it's not where Everton wants to be. It's not an attractive style of football. So I think if they start slow, he's a name that could be in trouble. And then I think the easy in a sense, is Michael Carrick. Because if things don't go well with United early and they have they're kind of a weird team because obviously he had a fantastic run with them last year. And then all I heard about from Maresh and all the other United fans I know is like, oh, we're getting Elliot Anderson, we're getting Bruno G, we're going to have this incredible midfield. They struck out on everybody. They ended up with like Andre Santos and I think they signed one
Tielemans
and Tielemans, like good players. Santos, maybe he has a really high ceiling that we just haven't seen at the Premier League level yet. He was a big time prospect for Chelsea a couple years ago. And Tielemans, really good player, but a little bit older. And it certainly wasn't the name at the top of their wish list when the window opened. So they kind of, for all the talk, and the momentum that they seemed to have at the end of last year, and it also seemed like it took, like Michael Carrick had to do everything just to have the interim tag pulled off of his name. So if they don't start the right way, that fan base, the chaos of that organization, I think it starts to get loud, and I think it could, he could be in trouble if they're sitting around like 11th by around Halloween. I think he's out.
That's an interesting call. That's an interesting call. I don't think that he will be in that situation, but it's an interesting call. And you're right. If things go south, he doesn't have this kind of long track record that, to sort of fall back on. He does have the, United heritage. So he does have that where a lot of their previous managers did not. I'm a little higher on United's business. I'm a little higher on them, period. The guy that I'm going to throw out, I actually mentioned him already, and I still don't know how to pronounce his name, but Matthias Geisel for Newcastle.
Yeah.
I think that he's coming into a situation where expectations have been, they're through the roof. And understandably so, because, everybody was talking all this shit about Newcastle. You guys are ruining the sport, all this, Saudi money. Well, they're not really getting that Saudi money. I don't know if it's the PSR thing or what's going on with financial fair play or if that's even a thing anymore. But their hands seem to be tied in terms of what they can do. They've lost so much talent. And he's coming into a situation where the fans are like, we should be in the Champions League spots. I don't think they're going to be. I don't think they're going to be anywhere near them. So I think that he is in a situation where he could be the first one gone. And I agree with you. Like I actually think he could be the first one gone, period. Even including like the Hull City, Ipswich Town, Gary O'Neill, even Frank Lampard, Coventry City. Because I do think, especially Hull City and Ipswich Town, the ownerships, they know the situation. They know what they're getting into this season. So I don't think they're going to be quite as quick on the trigger. Whereas a club like Newcastle, bringing in a new guy and he doesn't hit the ground running, he could be out real quick.
Yeah, Hull is already looking forward to those parachute payments. Like they know.
Mm-hmm. They know the score.
How do we reinvest this and win the championship?
Right.
Next season, exactly. I'll piggyback off your David Moyes thing, Chief. I don't think it'll happen. But this Everton team is like pretty good on paper.
Yeah.
Like they've got a good keeper. Their defense is good. I mean, they still need a right back. They need a right back for what feels like a decade since Seamus Coleman has gotten older and he's now officially his first year away from the club. He didn't retire, but he's basically done. The midfield's great. I think they have some good attacking players, and the striker's still kind of a question mark. But like this is a team that should be pushing for certainly top half and higher than that. And I think with Moyes, they're just never going to be that exciting, and they're never going to really go for it. And here's the thing. Is that childhood Everton fan Eddie Howe is now out there as a manager, available to be taken. And I think Everton fans would basically tell you that we would sack David Moyes the day of the first match to bring in Eddie Howe. And I think that's a no-brainer. Now, I think the most likely scenario is Moyes probably sees out the year. No matter what happens, he goes gracefully because he is a club legend in a lot of ways, and they're not going to do him wrong. And maybe they could bring in Eddie Howe in the summer and he takes a full season off. But I just think this team is going to underwhelm as long as he's the manager. They're never going to be bad enough to be terrible, which is great, which is what we kind of wanted for a while. But there's such a cap on what they could be. So I don't think he's going to get. If they start out really poor, though, you never know. And Eddie Howe is just out there and he wants to be the manager of Everton. So I think that's kind of a no-brainer for at least Everton fans.
If I'm Everton and I'm their front office, I'm checking in with Eddie Howe on a weekly basis.
Yeah,
because,
tell us what you got on. Yeah, what's out there?
Because the last thing you want is for one of these other jobs to come open. Maybe it is United, or and it's like, oh, well, there's our number one candidate.
We did blows up at Spurs. Yeah,
we didn't move quickly enough.
I totally agree. So that would be the worst case scenario, is if somehow they get pipped for him. I would take Everton finishing, I don't know, 13th again if Eddie Howe is in the door and we got Moyes. I think no matter what, this will probably be Moyes' last season though, which I think is a good run for everybody.
Yep.
All right, before we actually do our top 5, bottom 3, let's do this. Let's go through quickly. Best defense, best attack, and best midfield. Let's start with the defense. Sam, who do you think has the best defense in the entire Premier League?
I mean, this is the easiest question in the history of this show. Arsenal's defense is lights out. I mean, yeah, they're missing
clean sweep.
They're missing Saliba, but even without that, and even without Vinny Jr. forever, who I think would have screwed it up, their defense is painful to watch. And unfortunately, I mean that in a complimentary way. Like they're just so good and so sound. And Arteta has implemented his system. It took a little while. And to their credit, not necessarily the fans, but the management's credit, they stood by him. And they're reaping the rewards now. So I think that Arsenal's defense is the only answer that anybody should ever have on this question.
I agree, Chief. I assume you do as well.
Yeah, I did have Arsenal written down, but it felt too easy, and I like to be a homer. I think when Forrest is rolling, and I love
Yeah.
Matt Sells was up for goalkeeper of the year 2 years ago when they were in Europe. Milenkovic back healthy, Murillo's healthy, Diamante's in. I love the midfielders that are going to sit in front of them. I think that is the strength of this team. This is a team that could be in Europe, so I think it's Forrest, just as an honorable mention. But
I should have added a shameless homer take of as one of the categories.
I don't think it's a shameless homer take.
We had one with Sam. We have one with you.
Ball knower take. This is a ball knower take.
Well, time will tell. I hope you're right, but I don't know that. Listen, they didn't crack my top 5. I'll tell you that for sure.
Crazy.
All right. Let's do midfield because I have Arsenal too.
Links.
That's fine. Yeah, send me some YouTube comps. I can't wait to see some of those.
One thing in Chief's favor on this one, Sells doesn't have that cute little ponytail that Raya has, so I'll go with Sells over Raya. Other than that, though, Arsenal's defenses.
Yeah.
Arsenal's number one. Not contesting that.
Yeah.
Okay. Does Arsenal also have the best midfield? Because I would say yes. Rice, Guimaraes, and Odegaard. If Odegaard's playing the way he played for Norway this summer, like that's game over.
Yeah. I mean, who could even compete with it? You could say City, maybe. If they get their ducks in a row and sort of Palmer and Rodgers like hit the ground running. Anderson is just even 70% of what Rodri is. Like that's a decent midfield right there.
Weirdly enough, you guys. Like Tonali, Fernandez, and if Madison's back, I wouldn't pick that over Arsenal, but it's good. It's really good.
But good shout.
Does any part of you, Sam, worry that Fernandez is a little overrated?
Yeah, a little bit. I think we paid too much for sure.
But he's been on relegation squads back-to-back years.
It's true. I mean, I haven't seen him play that much. I've seen him in preseason. I saw him play for West Ham a number of times last season. He's always impressed me. Like, he looks like a good player. Is he like $100 million player? Like, I would not perhaps have thought that. So I think that in the same way that I was kind of shitting on Elliot Anderson because of his price tag, I agree with you there in terms of the value. I think that we paid too much. And I would say that more for Fernandez than for Tonali. But I do think he's a good player. I do think Tonali's there. And, Pape Sarr, I'm a huge fan of his as well. Like, I know we've just tried to fit him in wherever we need somebody for the last couple seasons because we've had these terrible injury problems. But, I think he's a really good player. And he now has that kind of seasoning where he's played the 6. He's played the 8. He's even played kind of the playmaking 10 sometimes. So we have a little bit more depth than we had before, especially now that we spent $200 million on Fernandez and Tonali.
Yeah.
But that's a good show.
Yeah. 2 years ago, you could have argued, Liverpool, Gravenberch was fantastic. He took a step back last year. I love Szoboszlai. I think he's if you're talking about lists of your favorite players just to watch, I think he's in my top 5, which hurts me as an Everton fan again to say. And if McAllister's anywhere where he was, if there's a world, and then obviously you could throw in Wirtz if he's playing the 10, depending on how Iraola uses him. There's an argument there, but I kind of need to see it before I believe it again, I guess.
Yeah. Too many question marks about that at this point for me.
I think Chelsea's in this conversation too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Caicedo, Lavia, if he plays a lot, I've always liked him. Enzo Fernandez. And then depending on how they use Palmer, Rodgers, Neto, I know there's been Neto rumors, but he's still there for now. They have a ton of talent in the middle.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, a lot of good shouts. Let's finish with the attack. Chief, who has the best attack?
I'm not going against Erling Haaland. Whoever the wingers are, it doesn't matter. He's such a weapon as a striker that automatically they have to be in the discussion. So it's an easy answer from that perspective. So I'll just say City.
Yeah, and then you add in Semenyo and Doku. Yep. They
Cherokee.
They just have so many weapons going forward that I can't argue with that.
Yep, I had the same thing down. All right, so I think we would go tiers up: Arsenal defense and midfield, and then City's attack, which I think that's probably what I think the consensus would say. I realized before we do this, we did forget a category, and I want to do this one before we do our official picks. Team with the widest range of outcomes of where they finish in the table. Sam, start with you.
Yeah, so I've actually put a little thought into this, unlike some of my answers over the years. And I have Bournemouth as a team that I think could be. I like went through the list, and I got some clubs that I have kind of big windows. We spoke earlier about just how difficult it could be to sort of nail down some of these clubs. Like I have Sunderland, Tottenham, Brentford as teams that I think could be, very high, very low. Bournemouth for me, they could be anywhere from say 9th to like 18th. I think that they've so look back at their last however many handful of seasons. So they went from 12th to 9th to 6th under Iraola. That's an incredible run for a team like Bournemouth, right? He's gone. So that in and of itself is a huge question. They're bringing in Marco Rose. We've talked about him and sort of his Red Bull lineage, and sort of he does seem like a good fit to kind of do that sort of attacking, pressing style. So he seems like a good fit, but you never know. You honestly never know when you lose like a manager like that. So I think that's a huge question mark. They've just, their talent has been siphoned off. Look at the Semenyo, Ouattara, Hoyson, Kirkej. Like they've lost so many serious players to big Premier League clubs in Real Madrid. Like there's a lot going on there. Then you got to add in the fact that they got to play in Europe. And I'm a little nervous. I said it before. I'm not as high on them going into this season for all those reasons. But at the same time, they've overperformed before. So I'll give them sort of a little bit of a benefit of the doubt and say they have their ceiling is pretty high for me. I would say 9th is the top end for them. But I think they could be in the relegation battle and come May. So I've got 9th to 18th. That's about 8 or 9 slots. That's my biggest sort of variance.
Yeah. And the Krupi injury is huge too.
Yeah.
So having a guy like that, I think he's got another 4 months out.
Mm-hmm.
So like they could be out of Europe by the time he's back, which is a nice way to ease your way back into the league. But yeah, I think that's a good shout. I also had Leeds finishing higher, but that's one that I could see anywhere as well.
Mm-hmm. I went with Fulham. I think a lot of people have them in the relegation scrap race, and I could see it happening. Arbeloa, what did he really prove at Real Madrid? He went from with the U21 coach to the main manager when they were in crisis. So it's is he a good manager? I don't really think we know much about him. Yeah. I do like some of the signings they made. Obviously bringing in Garcia, Palacios from Real Madrid. And I think they're kind of another one of those just smart, savvy teams. But I really, really rate Marco Silva, which is funny because he was kind of a disaster at Everton. But I think he's a very good manager, and he left. Now he's at Benfica. He's Portuguese, so that makes some sense. I think there's a situation where they could actually be pretty decent, but I also think there's a situation where they're looking for a manager in 3 months, and I could have thrown them in the mix for first manager sacked. I think there's a huge variance, and they were kind of always my second team in the Premier League, full America. Right. I kind of bought into that a little bit, so I've always had a soft spot for them. But I mean, I look at their lineup, and I still like it. Leno's still fine. Their back line's okay. Sander Berge in midfield's good. Smith Rowe, Iwobi. Munoz, I still think Josh King is a good young guy, and then obviously Garcia up top. I still think they could be a pretty good mid-table team, but I also can see them slipping into a relegation fight. So I think Fulham is probably my answer.
That's a good shout. Where the goals come from for them is going to be a question. So
big question.
And as you said, Arbeloa for me is a huge sort of unknown at this point.
Yeah, if they have, maybe they have this relationship with Real Madrid where they kind of help each other out or something, or at least maybe Madrid helps out their former boy and starts sending them players. That's a good situation to be in. But I think we need to see a full season of them being successful before that.
To your point, I wrote down ceiling and floor for every team. For them, I had the ceiling as maybe 12th. And the floor as 18th. I think that they could be in the relegation discussion as well.
All right, this is the time that we've all been waiting for. We're gonna assume that the Premier League gets 5 spots for the Champions League. So we're not gonna do top 4, and we're gonna do top 5. And then we'll do our. I think our bottom 3. I was talking about this with Chief beforehand. Maybe instead of our bottom 3, we pick out what team. We could do our bottom 3, but also what team that wasn't newly promoted do you think is going to go down?
Yeah.
So Chief, let's start with you. Give us your top. Do we want to go 5-1 and each give one, or do we want to just give our 5 together? I don't know what makes more sense.
Let's just rip. I'll just
rip it.
Give us
5.
Yeah. So my 5's boring. I have Arsenal winning the league. I have Chelsea finishing second. I'm going City third, Liverpool 4, United 5.
Okay. I have the same. I'll just go because I have the same in a different order. I've got Arsenal 1. I've got City 2. I'm not really worried about the Community Shield as much. I've got Chelsea 3. I've got United 4. United, we haven't talked a ton about them. I wanted to fade them, but I just feel like I can't. Like, I think they're actually like weirdly like the steady team that's going to be probably fine because they have continuity from last season. I have them 4, and then I have Liverpool 5, but I don't know, man. I'm worried about Liverpool. So I could see maybe Spurs sneaking up in there. I don't think Villa's going to get there. I like the business they've done, but I just don't see them like having to replace that many players getting back up there. I obviously gave Brighton a shout, but I'm going to put Liverpool at 5, even though I think they're vulnerable.
All right. Listen, I'm not going too far afield from you guys here. I have Arsenal up top. I mean, I crunch the numbers in every single way possible.
Trying to fade him. You're trying.
I'm trying to find a way.
He's moving number. Yeah, he's like that, like the woman with the numbers, and trying to figure out how we could do this.
I tried everything I could to find a way to not have Arsenal up top. It's tough right now. I mean, if I'm really going to try and make an argument, I do think that Chelsea, if they really come together, we were talking about attack, midfield, and defense. I do think that Chelsea has a shout to be the best midfield there. Whether they've got enough goals in them with João Pedro, we'll see. But I can't. Arsenal's defense is so goddamn good, and there's just not that many question marks, if any, about this team right now. So it's just hard not to pick them up top. Obviously, City and Chelsea have some question marks with them. They obviously have tons of talent. They have a lot of depth, but they have clear question marks. So I'm going to go Arsenal first. As much as that hurts, I went back and forth between City and Chelsea, and I was like, after I saw the City play in the Community Shield, I'm like, ugh. But I'm going to stick with City at second. Now, if this kind of involves like I think they're going to keep Rodri, which I don't actually think that. It seems like he's going to be gone.
I think he's already gone. Yeah.
So that may change the calculus just a little bit, but I'm going to go Arsenal, City second, Chelsea third. So I kind of see it as two different groups of 3, maybe a 3 with Arsenal, City, and Chelsea, and then a 4. But I actually see it as 3. So Arsenal, City, Chelsea, then Liverpool, I have 4th. 5th and 6th is really tough, between United and Tottenham. I'm going to go with United as 5th. Tottenham is 6th. And it pains me to say that as well, because I do think that Tottenham have the opportunity to really make this kind of gigantic jump, which I know Chief is definitely laughing at me on the inside right now because we've been talking about
outside. I'm laughing on the outside.
Yeah, he's not even hiding it. Yeah.
There you go. But listen, I think Aston Villa is a great team. I do think that playing Champions League is going to sort of weigh on them a little bit. I think if United didn't have Champions League to worry about, I would pick them over Tottenham easy. Like no question. I do think that having that midweek fixtures in Europe is going to weigh on them a little bit. I still think I got to go with United because there's just more question marks about Tottenham. Even though we've had this huge, massive overhaul, I don't know where the goals are coming from. Like our defense, I would say, is much better. Our midfield, obviously, is sort of night and day. But we still stuck with Solanke and Richarlison?
Richarlison, my guy.
As our goal scorers. And number one, neither one of them can stay healthy. And number 2, I just wouldn't consider, as much as Solanke, he had a great season or 2 with Bournemouth. I'm just not that much. I'm not completely sold on him being a big 6, number 1, go-to 9. So I think that there's some question marks with us and scoring goals. So there's a few more question marks for me with Tottenham. So I've got them in 6th. And so I got Arsenal, City, Chelsea, Liverpool, United, 1 through 5.
You also lost Jed Spence to Inter too, and I know you have some depth at that spot, but it's like I
didn't like that move at all. That's a good point. I did not like that move at all in terms of the guys that we kept or are thinking about keeping. I can't believe that Spence is the one, that we got rid of when he's as flexible as he is, and I didn't like that move.
As a Roma fan as well, I didn't love that.
And he had a great World Cup, too. So.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I was kind of confused by that one, but maybe he doesn't fit the Zerbi ball.
I guess maybe.
Yeah. All right. I think we pretty much have the same 5, but just in different orders, which is not shocking. Let's do relegation. I mean, I think everybody is going to pick Hull probably to finish last, so we could just skip that. I think Coventry probably has the best chance. Shout out to Frank Lampard of staying up. Also shout out to Haji Wright. What up, America? Ipswich, I like Gary O'Neill, but I'm not sure. So I have those three going back down. But I will say the one team that I'd like, there are two teams I'll give a shout to. I think you guys might agree with one of them. Sunderland, I think, is in danger. And I think Crystal Palace, sneaky. I'm 6-1. I'd be interested in taking that bet.
Took the words right out of my mouth. So I actually have Crystal Palace going down in my
all right
prediction. Yep. I think that this season, they're going to be playing Europa, which, for a team that finished whatever they finished last season, 16th or something like that, they haven't done that much business. They lost one of their two stalwart center backs to Chelsea, and I just the guys that they kept, even our guy Chris Richards, they're a little fragile. So any kind of injury bug that they hit could be just a fatal blow for them. And so I think Coventry comes up as the most complete team of the newly promoteds. They've brought in some goals, which I wasn't, thrilled for Haji Wright, but I think that's probably good for them because you need as many sort of weapons and possible goal scorers as you can. So I think Coventry might just surprise Crystal Palace. I think Sunderland, as you said, might be in the mix as well. So it's kind of interesting. They got two Europa clubs that might be potentially anyway in the mix. But yeah, I got Hull City 20th, Ipswich Town 19th, and Crystal Palace. Kind of, I don't know if you'd even call it shocking, but a bit of a shock going down the season.
Yeah, and they lost Glasner too. We talked about all the talent that Newcastle lost from a couple of years ago. Crystal Palace, Gahey, Olise, Eze, like they had so much, and it's like no wonder that they won. Some of the trophies that they did under Glasner. They just had a ton of talent. All those guys are gone, and you would think that you would have been able to reinvest that a little bit more if you had the ambition, which they don't, which is why they lost Glasner. So, yeah, I would not be surprised if Palace was in that. I think Fulham's in real trouble too. Fulham, a couple of the kids that they brought over from Madrid, fine, but like they both have to perform. It's not like there's a great sample size on those guys. You lose Harry Wilson, Smith Rowe, kind of mid, like they just don't have a lot. And so I think that's another place where, if things go south quickly, I think that if they get off to a bad start, I think they'll be in the scrap all year long.
I'm glad you pointed out Glasner because obviously that's a huge reason. Another reason why Crystal Palace might be in trouble. And, they brought in the guy from Lens who did great in Ligue 1 last season, but we haven't even mentioned him as the possible first manager gone. But like if they get off to a tough start, he could very easily be gone. And it's not even necessarily his fault. You just talked about all the talent they lost. Then you add in the fact that the business they've done, at least on paper, the most expensive, the sort of like the diamond of their or the crown jewel of their transfer business is Dwight McNeil from Everton.
Yeah.
So
with a trade for Brian
Johnson. Yeah. The other thing with Palace too is that I don't think they're done losing guys. Like they obviously we didn't even mention Lacroix. He's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Feels like Wharton's going to be there, but Mateta, I know they have Strand Larson, but Mateta has been like a stalwart for them as a 9. He's rumored to be going. Daniel Munez, he's also supposed. He sounds like he's gone. So, and
it's a lot to ask.
It's a lot to replace. And now it's like you have to do it inside of 3 weeks, 4 weeks to get everything going. So it's like the season, can slip away from you fast. It's hard to dig out of those holes. So,
yeah. Guys, give me 2 seconds. My dog's losing his mind. Let me just let him outside. Sorry.
I was actually doing the same. My dog was like scratching.
I saw you like looking over there.
I love my dog, but like she does this thing where she wants to be like with you, but then like if she hears something else going on in the house, she like wants to go check that out. So it's like, and then she'll come back and scratch outside the door. It's like, God damn it, Yanni.
Come on in. Pull her up in the chair.
Exactly. But I can't reach the door. That was the other thing. It's not like I did.
He didn't hear anything, so he should be
Good. I
fine.
kept hitting the mute button when she was scratching. And as soon as my wife sees the scratch mark, she's gonna be
on the door. Yeah.
She's gonna be
Well, what happened?
Oh God. What do we got left? So we got Golden Boot and bold prediction. Okay, yeah, we're cooking. We're getting through this a little faster than I thought.
Yeah, these always go a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, well, sometimes they go long as shit. I've done like previews at like season previews that like end up like 2.5 hours. And you're like, what the fuck?
You kind of feel like you want to give every team a little something. Like we barely talked about United.
I know.
The biggest club in the world. They're an afterthought.
I've tried to. I actually kind of. I'm higher on United than you are.
Yeah. Like. How about just for crunching numbers on Arsenal doesn't win the league? Do we have a situation where it's like Liverpool, where everyone just kind of crowns them before the year, and then it's just never quite right the whole season? That's the only thing I can point to.
God, I hope so.
Yeah,
God, I hope so. But I just it's like the way that they win and the way they play is just it's so.
Set piece again.
Yeah,
set piece FC.
Tough to beat them, right? And so it's so even an injury or two, I feel like they still anyway.
As long as they don't win Champions League, I'm happy.
Oh, I know. God, that would have been a fucking
lasting hope
nightmare.
Yeah. All right, Golden Boot. I think obviously the heavy on odds on favorite is Erling Haaland. This is basically just like if it gets injured. I mean, I guess we should do somebody besides Haaland. So who do you think is there like a dark horse person? Maybe I think Isak is second at like plus 1,200. Chief, I'll start with you. Golden Boot other than Haaland.
Yeah, I'll take Isak. I think Liverpool is going to pump in a lot of goals. He's going to be the main man. I that feels like I didn't look up the odds for Golden Boot, so I was surprised that he was second. But I think it's a big bounce back here for him, and he finds that form that we saw at Newcastle. And leads the way for them.
Yeah, Haaland is, I mean, he's like minus money. I think he's minus 150 right now to win the Golden Boot. So
crazy.
It really is. It does feel like if he gets injured, then you got some skin in the game type of bet here. In which case, and that sort of plays into my thinking. So Isak is clearly a good shout. I'm not going to go with him. I'm not going to go with Igor Thiago, even though he scores a million pens and everything. Joao Pedro is one I would take a look at because I do think that Chelsea has the potential to be better than we expect. And if they are, I think he's going to be he's going to be in the mix for that, especially with all the midfielders they've just brought in. If I'm going to take one though, I think it would probably be Antoine Semenyo because if Haaland does get hurt, I think a lot of the, Omar Marmoush obviously will be in the mix, but I think Semenyo might be their next best goal scorer. And if you get him, the value is plus 2,500, I believe, on him. So 25 to 1. That's not bad. Now, if you want a really, really long shot, I would say maybe somebody like Brian Mbeumo, because I think that I'm a little higher on United than some people on this panel. And, I'm not that sold on who's the big Eastern European guy that they brought in?
Shasko.
Yeah, I'm not like I think he's a good player. I just don't. He just doesn't strike me as a Golden Boot type player. And now you could say the same thing about Mbeumo as well, maybe. But he just seems like a little bit more dynamic. And I think that for plus 5,000, maybe worth a little taste.
Yeah, of their front line, I might like Cunha the most.
Yeah. It's a good shout as well. I either Mbeumo or Cunha. I would probably take a little sprinkle on them.
I was like trying to talk myself into Gyökeres just because I love him at Sporting, and he was Arsenal's leading goal scorer last year. Let's not overlook that. But I can't look past the Arteta angle of this and how he's just not going to let that happen. So it's not going to be him. If I had to lean, like I brought him up earlier, like is Cole Palmer worth a shout? If he takes pens,
he's on pens, yeah.
He scored nearly like 10 pens, I think, his first season. So if that happens again and he actually kicks another however many goals, could he get to 20? You never know. He could be a total flop again and disappear, and we'll never see him again, which I think is unlikely. But he's plus 4,000. Yeah, I don't know. I like him a little more than Joao Pedro, only because Pedro's more of like a link-up striker more than he is a goal scorer. I like him a lot, but I don't know if he's like a out-and-out goal scorer. But it's tough. The Isak one's probably good too, just because Iraola with him, that could be like danger for the rest of the league too. Is he fully back to full fitness? I'll kind of have to wait and see on that. But I'll say long shot is Cole Palmer. All right, last thing before we get out of here. This is the hottest take you have that we will not hold you to if it is wrong, but we will always remember, maybe get you a plaque if you were correct about it. So, Sam, hottest take of the season. Go ahead.
So I kind of teased this. I didn't even tease this. I kind of gave it away earlier. So my storyline here for the boldest prediction is that the Europa League will be a poison chalice for somebody. So I think that one of the 3 Europa League teams, the participants, which are Palace, Sunderland, and who is the third one? Let's see. Bournemouth.
Is it Bournemouth? Yes.
So I think one of those 3 will get, let me add to that. So not only are they going to participate, I think all 3 of them have a legitimate chance to actually contend in the Europa League. So like this is a situation where I could see a team winning Europa and getting relegated from the Premier League. Now, whether that actually happens, that's sort of a bridge further than what I'm actually saying, which is that somebody from those 3 Europa League participants gets relegated. But on top of that, I could see that team actually winning Europa League as well. So it's an interesting narrative.
Forest was close. They were in the they were ahead through one leg of the semifinal while being in like 17th.
Listen, so Tottenham was right there too.
Yeah,
was right there. Yeah. I remember that well.
I jotted this down. I said, yes, Sunderland win the Europa League and then they get relegated. There you go. I think it's maybe it's not even, maybe it's too popular now. It's not even a hot take. Too many people throwing that out there. But I think that I'm rooting. That would just be so funny. Like, is it possible that a championship team is playing in like a major European competition? That would be pretty awesome.
Would Sunderland
I threw in a funny one.
Would they take that, a European championship?
I don't think so. Only because I think you just get more money for staying in the Premier League than you would for playing in the Champions League, right?
Probably. Yeah.
Although I'm sure they would. If they're gonna get relegated, you might as well be in the Champions League.
I see. I think that's such a death sentence. Like, I don't think you just fodder because you have to.
It'd be tough to get back up.
Team. Yeah,
it'd be tough.
Harder to get.
Yeah. I jotted down a little tongue in cheek here, but we won't hear about the 115 charges of Manchester City for the entire season.
Don't say.
It's going to get pushed to next year. Maybe even not. Yeah.
It's crazy how long this shit has been dragging out. And the longer it goes, it's just going to be some sort of fucking.
Right. I remember hearing at the end of last year, they're going to get a 60-point deduction.
It's baked into their relegation odds this year. They're like, I think they have the 13th something worst or best, whatever, however you want to say it, relegation odds, just because of that baked in factor, which it's not going to happen. Like, it's just not. So I don't know. So there you go. Won't happen this season. Maybe it'll never happen.
So sad. Ridiculous. Have we heard from Chief? What's
anything, Chief?
It just kind of occurred to me. So I'll say the Big Six is back. I think the top 6 will be the Big Six. And I can't remember exactly when the last time that happened was. But I'll say it is the year of the Big Six, and I don't like it. I like it when Aston Villa and Bournemouth and Forest and these other clubs are crashing the party, but it does feel like Tottenham actually might have gotten their act right a little bit, and the other teams have kind of stabilized. So I'm hoping I'm wrong, but it does feel like it's we'll call it a little bit of a sense of return to normalcy for the Prem.
No, normalcy. I know you don't believe. I know you don't like that word normalcy in that situation, but no. I do like the prediction. I'm hopeful of it.
Yeah,
maybe.
Quick Google search says the 18-19 season was the last time this happened. Went City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Tottenham, Arsenal, United. So yeah, it doesn't have. I mean, yeah. Now that Villa and like Newcastle kind of jumped up, they've kind of thrown a wrench in the works, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it, boys. All right, I guess you know what we should do too at the end of the season, because we need to like replay some of these and like hold our feet to the fire a little bit on some of these predictions. I feel like we throw these predictions into the ether and then we never talk about them again. Would be fun to just bring it back and be like, oh yeah, remember when we said this? What an idiot! Or like, hey, or just give you credit.
Maybe
sometimes that's always fun.
Maybe we should all do. Have you seen the TikTok filters where you just go? They give you a random team and you place them. That we'll all just do.
Yep.
Predict 1 through 20 and stitch them up there. Do we all want to give where we think our respective teams finish officially?
Yeah, good call.
Yeah, where you guys? Because I've already said mine. Yeah, I got us finishing sixth.
Sixth. I'm gonna say Everton finished 12th.
Sounds about right.
Cowardly. 8th for Forest. We're back in Europe, baby.
What's it like being an optimistic fan? I wouldn't know. Yeah.
Marinakis could do anything. We're gonna buy a striker. We're gonna have another midfielder. We got it's Glasner ball time. Forest back to Europe. We're giants. Forest is massive. We're back.
I'd be happy for you. I really would. I wouldn't be mad about it at all. I wouldn't bet on it.
You'll be tired of that quick, I promise.
You're probably right. Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, so as soon as the text started keeps popping off with all these victories or keep hopping in there, I'd be like, now we're good, actually. Now they're right. Well, I don't know. Like, they're not – I have, like, a hierarchy of teams that I, like, sort of just don't like. And it's not many, but, like, I don't know. What would it take for like a team like Forest to get in there? Because there aren't many. They're usually like big clubs. So most of the big clubs, I'm just like, all right, I don't want to root for you. You're kind of.
I think it'd be 6 months.
I've always had a soft
6 months of Chief tweeting you after every win.
That would be tough. That's because I'm the exact opposite. Like everyone comes to me and like, oh, Everton, like maybe this year, and I'm like, nope, they're gonna suck every single year, every year. So like I'm the bad personality. I'm the exact opposite of Chief on this one.
Well, and that's the thing where it's like that year where we almost made Champions League. I was so annoying. I jumped in a frozen Lake Michigan. It was quite the year, but it's always like it's always been every other year has been a relegation scrap.
Yeah.
So I can't really talk shit. But when this time of year, when everybody's 0-0 and 0, I love to start banging the drum, and I believe. And this is if you can't be optimistic in August, when can you be?
This is Notre Dame's year, right?
Oh, it actually is Notre Dame's year.
Wow, come on now.
Exactly.
12-0.
Do they have any ranked teams on their schedule? I don't know.
I think they got 3 playoff teams. Actually, it's not as bad of a schedule as people make it out to be. It's just it's a common trope. Hate on Notre Dame. I don't play anybody. Sure, they got Miami's on the schedule.
All right, fair enough.
I love it.
All right, boys, this has been fun. And Chief, by the way, we're going to have Chief on more and more. McGee, he's got too much going on, so we're going to hold McGee for special circumstances, maybe some bigger interviews, yada, yada. But like the week in, week out Premier League stuff, Champions League, whatever, we're going to get Chief in the mix, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So we will see his face again. Chief, where can everybody find you? Where's the socials?
Barstool Chief on everything. I'll do that TikTok, like I said, where I predict the leagues. And then, Barstool Sports Chicago, Dog Walk, Stretch. All of our normal shows kind of here out of Chicago.
You're the man. Sam, best of luck to Spurs. Chief, best of luck to Forest.
Oh, I don't wish him any luck. I want him to have the same luck that he's been having the whole time, where we get to September and it's like, I guess Archie's playing center back again. That's what I'm hoping for. That's what I want.
I appreciate your
I just remember the text last year when it was like pretty clear that they looked like they were going down. I felt bad for our guy, and I knew what that felt like. I don't wish that on other people, man. I don't. I really don't.
You're a better person than I am. I know. I can't. I hope it happens one of these years. This guy's got to know what it's like to be in the
best thing that could happen for the pod is if we have like a Spurs, Everton, Forest, just like 15, 16, 17, just really in the mix. Because then there'll be some animosity. Then there'll be some real anger that comes out. Right now, everybody's happy. The new season, everybody's 0-0-0. Like, we're good to go. There's optimism everywhere. We need our feet to the fire a little bit, but it'll be more exciting if they were actually fighting for Europe. But I doubt that's going to happen. But all right, boys. Manoli would always say, I gotta make sure I plug everything. You can find us Just Soccer Show, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Make sure you like, subscribe, rate, review, all that stuff. We'll have another episode coming out next week after a full weekend slate of the Premier League. The Premier League is back, which is pretty wild.
Sam and I will be at the official Forest party. I got a jersey for him. So it's in Chicago. It's at the Tree House in River North. So we'll be there rooting on the trees. It's going to be great.
I don't know about that.
was there.
We have a jersey for some lucky fan. If that jersey is,
I'm not a jersey guy, but I've got like 10 Forest shirts.
There we go.
I got one for you. I don't worry
no,
about it.
listen,
You can load it.
whatever it hands to me, I will hand it directly to a lucky fan. They're very
All right.
Yep. We'll do a giveaway with a Forest kit. We'll see see how many people are interested in that. Who knows? But all right, boys, you're the best. Appreciate you. We'll catch you next week. Thanks, guys.